their belief methods, etc., they are opposite to the Kabbalah because they have grown from the concealment, and Kabbalah comes from the light. They come from the concealment and breakage. Could you explain a bit more what's the connection between the economical crisis that we experience and divinity? Because you say discover, understand, but I don't see someone discovering, understanding that there's some kind of a connection between the crisis and divinity. Maybe we do. Now, the world still does not understand, although I talked in the States. I talk to many people that are, state public opinion, etc. The truth is that the beginning of the understanding exists. The global crisis that we have to connect. Only by this can it be saved from the blows. Man's ego is the reason for all evil. They do have this knowledge. Whereas if you talk to politicians, they can hear. They can also see some kind of a rationale to it. They listen to you. They don't say that you're detached from reality, that you float around in the clouds, or that you're in certain imaginations. No, they already somehow start seeing here a rational seed. You're talking about something because they start to discover the lack of connection between people as the reason for the blows, the reason for the crisis. There are people, they can't connect. Simply can't connect. Therefore, our actions, our programs in the banks and all other places, they don't work. Okay. There's a bit of an approach, some kind of a connection. They could hear, listen, and besides the feeling of their lack of ability to react works less than the mind here. A person understands that he has nothing in his hands, so he's ready to listen. Not on behalf of thinking that there's some kind of wisdom to you, that you have some wisdom, you possess it, but that from the other point, from the other side, that he has nothing by which he can correct the state. But, of course, we're still distant. And it's the whole matter of understanding the reason for the crisis, but with respect to the wisdom of Kabbalah, it's an even greater distance. Go and reveal to the whole world that precisely in this wisdom, and only in it, there is a method, and a method of how to achieve the power of correction, and a method of how to come to the correction, and how to build after the correction all the correct reality. That everything comes there. Of course, it's a lot of work, but on the other hand, there's whom to talk to. There is what to do. We're not lacking work, but the resistance, the collision, the rejection, the booze, that does not exist. There are plenty of people who want to hide behind the laws. They want to erase you because they don't like you contradicting their whole approach, because you threaten their office, their dominion, of course. But it's man's ego. Yes. You've answered Seth in New York that it's not necessary to speak about the method. What do we have to do? No, this is something else. How to pass it on. It's a complete method. We'll not talk about it now. We're talking about the point that Baal Sulam touches. That there is an iron wall and we have to blast it, blow it. It seems that there is a big gap. There are many people who awaken for this method. So does this partition still exist? Of course, it's on the one hand of course, in Israel there is a large public that is extremely hates all that has to do with the wisdom of Kabbalah. We have to understand that if a person receives some kind of a strengthening from what is he engaged in, life in, money, honor, dominion, knowledge, security for today and for tomorrow, if he holds on to what he is engaged in and it builds his life like a small child. We know children. He holds on to a certain toy, and that's it. That's his certainty, security. Without the toy, he feels that he can't go into the street. He feels that he has to have something of his own. Otherwise, he is lost. He's used to doing it. Otherwise, he does not know where he exists. This gives him the sensation of this space in which we are. Otherwise, it seems to him like this abyss, the illumination of the Malchut. It's the most threatening thing. Sometimes we feel it during our spiritual work, and it's terrible. So what I want to say, we have to understand them. They are small children engaging in it. Oh, I was told to do this? Why does he immediately bring questions here? These are questions from our inner world, from the people who are among Israel. Why doesn't he bring you from the world, from the Hindus, from the Sufis, from the Christians, or from the seculars? Because they don't really have a reference to the wisdom of Kabbalah. It comes necessarily from the people who exist in the religion of Israel, because religion has grown after the destruction, from the lack of divinity, from the lack of concealment, and it is completely built in order to give a person some kind of a strengthening, some kind of a support. And a person, he is afraid, like a child without his saucer. I was told to give a blessing, I do it. I'm told to read this during the prayer, I read it. That's it, don't want anything else. And this is how I want to educate my children, this is how we'll exist. I don't want to hear about it. And also in each one of us, there is such a thing. Therefore, we have to see that the resistance to the wisdom of Kabbalah comes from these people. And we also have to understand, it's not that people are evil or something, but it's the education that the Kabbalists themselves have built for the time of the exile.
And in the end of the exile, we are in the revelation of the disease, and we have to reveal it, and we have to see how Baal HaSulam is helping us, recommending us to get rid of it. He knows all those things. He been through it in his life quite a lot. So the revelation of the wisdom of Kabbalah, who